Hoffman. I live in Auburn, Maine, which is southern Maine. And my background for the last 20 years has been in healthcare sales and marketing. And my Relive story started about actually almost 7 years ago now. I saw some information on some clinical trials that had just been released on our new blood sugar management product at the time. And while I'm healthy and I don't have any blood sugar issues, having worked in healthcare for a long time and being pretty health conscious myself, I was really impressed with the results. So my husband and I ended up going to an informational presentation to learn more, and we heard these amazing health results that folks were having with high cholesterol, fibromyalgia, back pain, diabetes, Lyme disease, and I was impressed. To be honest, we were a little bit skeptical, but we decided to give it a try. I had been taking hands full of high-quality vitamins for probably the last 20 years because I think supplementation is important. I never really saw any result one way or the other, but I'm basically healthy, so I guess I just didn't really expect to see any marked differences. However, on results, I've seen some really interesting positive results. Within about a year of starting on the products, my doctor reduced my thyroid medication by 20%. I've always had really excellent numbers related to cholesterol and HDL and LDL and so forth. But 2 years ago when I had my annual physical, I had some blood work done, and I was amazed to find that everything had gotten even better. My LDL and triglycerides went down by 13 and 23% respectively. My HDL went up by 16%, so I went from really excellent numbers to kind of super duper numbers. Most recently, I had my annual eye exam, and I was complaining to my eye doctor that I really wasn't seeing as well as I had been. And even though my prescription has been stable for about 15 years, I figured, well, I'm getting older, so my eyes are getting worse. But I was totally surprised when he told me that I did need a new prescription. However, it was because my eyes had gotten better. My husband is also healthy and sings in a barbershop chorus and a couple of quartets for fun. And it used to be every time he got the sniffles, it would become laryngitis and most of the time a sinus infection, and he wouldn't be able to sing. Sometimes it would be a month, sometimes it would be 6 weeks, and he would not be a happy camper. But since Relive, he has not had a sinus infection in almost 7 years. And if he gets the sniffles, it's basically the sniffles. I don't get colds. I don't get sore throats. I don't get whatever flu malady seems to be making the rounds. My hair grows faster. My nails, which were always strong, are even stronger. So I guess I'm a happy camper as well. And, you know, Mary, my mother is soon to be 98. She lives by herself and has all of her faculties. So I anticipate to be around for a long time. And I really look at Relive as, you know, added health insurance that I can be well, feel great, be active, engaged, and productive for a long time to come.
That's a fantastic story. I love it when people who are healthy still get results on the Relive products. I mean, you know, how can that be? But it just helps you to be the best that you can possibly be, and I really appreciate that. Mary Lou, thank you so much for taking time.
Oh, you're welcome.
And,
my pleasure.
No wonder you couldn't see.
Right.
All right. We're going to head out to Missouri now to Joan Trankler. Did I pronounce that right, Joan?
Yes, you did.
All right. Thank you so much for being on here and sharing with others what's happened for you.
Not a problem. Thank you, Mary. Well, good evening, everyone. You know, Relive was an answer to prayer. 8 years ago, someone from my church called and introduced me to these products, and I had been praying for help. I had been suffering from really bad allergies, severe asthma, to where I was down to 50% breathing capacity for over 10 years, and the doctor said there was nothing more they could do for me. From an inhaler I was taking, I had developed thrush, which is a yeast infection in the mouth, And that had spread throughout my whole body, causing a candida overgrowth that caused such extreme fatigue and lethargy that 10 years ago doctors literally had me quit my job because I was sleeping 17 hours a day and just couldn't function anymore. And on top of that, I had borderline diabetes, borderline glaucoma, hormone issues, and with that, I had developed dry eye and then a torn retinal jelly that caused constant discomfort and loss of some of the peripheral vision then because of that. But the doctor said, oh, that's just because you're getting older. And I was in my early 50s at the time. And, I was praying for help. So, like I said, Relive was introduced to me, and within the first week, I had more energy and clearer thinking. Within 6 weeks, that thrush that I had battled for over 10 years was no longer an issue. By 3 months, I noticed I was no longer having daily thoughts of suicide. Not that I was contemplating it, but when you felt that rotten, those thoughts came into your minds. Well, then at 4 months, the gynecologist, when I went in for my checkup, was so impressed with these products, he told me to stop taking the hormone replacement he had put me on and just use these good products. And then at 6 months, I went in for my diabetic checkup, and he was absolutely amazed. He said for the first time in 18 years, my sugar levels were normal, and all I was doing was these great products. Oh. And then at my yearly checkup for the allergist, pardon me, I'd been seeing him for 22 years, had all those problems, as I said. He was amazed to see I no longer had sores in my nose from the airborne allergens, even though I had been on medication for that. He was surprised to see no more thrush. And when he did my breathing capacity, my pulmonary function test, he was absolutely blown away. Instead of 50% breathing capacity, I was now at 98% breathing capacity. He got in my face and said, "What are you doing?" So I just showed him these great products, and he said, "Stop taking my meds and you just keep using those products." Well, I didn't tell him I had already stopped taking that inhaler because it was what had actually caused that thrush, but I couldn't get rid of it once it had been there until I had gotten on Relive. So I had all these great results. Well, then my eyes gradually improved, and the doctors were amazed that I no longer had the borderline glaucoma. They were within the normal range. I no longer am bothered by the discomfort of the torn retinal jelly. I no longer am bothered by dry eye, and recently I've noticed that my peripheral vision is improving. So needless to say, I now have energy. I am 61 years old, and instead of feeling 90 like I used to, I now feel about 45. And instead of sleeping 17 hours a day, I am now awake 18 hours a day and have energy to take care of my 3 young grandchildren. So I'm so thankful that Relive has given me my life back. But it's also blessed my husband. He was bothered with bad acid reflux. He's no longer bothered with that. And he had back pain from an injury over 40 years ago when he was in the service. And as he was getting older, it was getting worse. He is now 66 years old and has absolutely no back pain. So he's very thankful for all of that, and we thought we were doing great. Well, a number of years ago, he was diagnosed with kidney cancer. And he had only been on products, I guess, about 5 years, but they told us that he had that cancer anywhere from 8 to 10 years. And 5 doctors have confirmed that. So they scared us, rushed him into surgery, removed a kidney, and he was told he'd be off work a good 4 to 8 weeks. Well, he flooded his body with this great nutrition, and at 2.5 weeks, when he went back for his checkup, that doctor was absolutely blown away. She looked at him and said, "You do not look like a man I just did this to." And she let him go back to work at 3 weeks. So we were thankful. Yeah, we were thankful for all of that. Well, then at a following checkup and scan, they found that he had some cancer that they had missed in that area where they had removed the kidney, and they referred us to an oncologist. Well, his remaining kidney was also smaller than it should have been, and we were referred to a kidney specialist. Well, that kidney specialist had heard of Relive, knew about Relive, and said, "You definitely keep taking those products." And they were amazed that he'd never had to be put on dialysis. Well, he decided that before he got in to see the oncologist, he would really hit his body with a lot of this nutrition. And by the time he got in to see the oncologist, in less than 3 months, they could find no cancer anywhere. So we were just so excited with that. And then when he went for his next checkup at the kidney specialist, his function had improved so much in that remaining small kidney that they took him off one of his meds and told him he didn't have to come back for a year instead of 6 months. So we have been blessed in so many ways, and we will continue to take these products and thank God every day for them.
I guess so. Now, what if the person who shared with you hadn't shared with you, Joan? Where would your family be today?
Well, as I tell people, as sick as I was, I would probably be dead, and my husband with his cancer would probably be dead. That's just my opinion. But, we're thankful now. We can enjoy our grandchildren. We just had a brand new one born in Japan and was just there in April. So we would have never been able to have the energy to travel halfway around the world.
Right, yep. You guys are billboards for Relive, and I'm sure you're telling other people that you meet, too.
All the time.
All the time. And congratulations to you. Keeping up
with
3 grandkids is quite a feet.
Well, I started with them when they were 6 months, 2 years and 5 years. And, have the energy to just run and play with them, so it's great.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing on here.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Next, we're going to go to this next door here to Kansas. And Kay Drake, are you out there?
I am.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being on here to share with others.
Great. Well, good evening, everybody. My name is Kay Drake. I live here in Wichita, Kansas with my husband, David, and our 3 children that are now 20, 18, and 17. Life is so exciting to us now because we have our health back. But let me take you back to a few years ago when things were not so cheerful in the Drake home. In 2004, my husband, David, was tired. He would come home from work and just sit in his chair, get up to have supper, and then sit back down. And he hated that because he wanted to be able to enjoy his children as they were growing up. In 98, he had been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. And also about that time we found out that he had the beginning stages of diabetic retinopathy. We began praying for an answer. And 5 months later, as a photographer, in planning some photography work with some friends, our friends started telling us about this product called Relive. We had never heard of it before. We only knew that we'd been praying for an answer. When David was ready to get started, right then and there, I crossed my arms because I'd seen David on another product for 2 years that went nowhere. And I just thought this was just one more of those things. But in 2 weeks, my arms were uncrossed, and I was asking him to share with me because I saw a difference in him. He was able to be on his feet 95% of his day as a tool and die maker, come home, and still have plenty left over to play with the kids. We are a homeschooling family, and I needed that stamina to keep up with our 3 kids and their schoolwork. So for David, he did see results. 6 months on the product, he was able to reduce his insulin by 50%. Well, 3 years later, he started becoming insulin resistant, and his numbers began to climb. Well, that would be 2 years later. His numbers began to climb, not only his daily blood sugars, but also his A1C. And then in 2007, they came out with a product called Glucofex for specifically to target diabetes and prediabetes, and David got started on that, and for the first time in 11 months, his numbers came back on the downward side. The retinopathy has been put on hold, and that was verified multiple times by the eye specialist treating David that retinopathy is not progressing. That is a major answer to prayer. As David got older, again, he became insulin resistant, and we chose to go to a endocrinologist who put David on new insulin, and that helped somewhat, but it wasn't really achieving the goals until David increased his Lunarich intake, and that brought his numbers down 200 points.
Wow.
Yes, major wow. When we were between shipments, And he was still doing the same insulin, still eating the same, and his numbers began to climb again. Order comes in, back on the lineage, they're back down within range. So we are convinced that it's the power of the nutrition he's getting from the products is going to help him achieve his goals that he has as a diabetic. For myself, I had been on seizure medicine for 32 years. I was in a sledding accident when I was 5 years old, and at 16 I was diagnosed with temporal lobe seizures. The only thing they can guess caused my seizures was that accident when I was 5. I just learned to live with the side effects caused by the medicine. You know, it's a trade-off, okay? It's controlling my seizures for the most part, but then there were the side effects, the worst being foggy brain. In my 30s, I couldn't connect the dots. It was terrible. It was like walking through mud with flip-flops on. I do interpreting for the deaf, and there were times when I would be interpreting, and I would have a hard time taking what I was hearing and translating it for those that I was signing for. Then I went through menopause early and started dealing with depression, and that's about the time that we heard about Relove.
You had
when
your
I started,
pulled, you mean?
No, I uncrossed them because I wanted stamina. I wanted energy. It was nowhere on my radar, Mary, that I would see any difference with the seizures. I had just resigned myself that that was going to be my lot in life until I went to a Relive presentation with David, and there I met a mom who had grand mal seizures, which were worse than mine, but she was seizure-free, medication-free. I said, how did you do it? Because I was consistent. I thought, I can be consistent. No, nobody ever made any promises or guarantees to me that I would see the same results that she did. I didn't care. For the first time in 32 years, someone was offering me hope, was offering me a choice, that my life could be different. So I grabbed hold of what she said, grabbed hold of the support that was offered to me, and I'm one of those that took a little longer, but in 3 years' time, I reached that goal of being seizure-free, medication-free, and folks, that was 7 years ago.
Wonderful.
Yay. So today, as I said, our home is filled with laughter and joy. I don't have to worry about having seizures anymore. If my brain starts to feel tired, I can just take an extra shake. That's all I need. Did not have to go on hormone replacement therapy. The nutrition is what I need. We've also seen great results in our children. Their immune systems are stronger. They excel in school. And they live in harmony as siblings. That is priceless to us. So we are so grateful for our friend who told us about Relive when she had no idea we were looking for answers.
And I'm sure you're being a friend to others by sharing this with them, isn't it? You just
absolutely
just sharing the blessing. Wonderful.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you
You're
sharing
welcome.
today, Kay. Claire Kingsbury, did you make it on? Guess Claire did.
Yes, I'm here. You bet, I'm here. Yes,
Oh.
I'm here.
Wonderful, wonderful. Oh, I'm so glad you made it on. Claire, would you go ahead and share what happened to your family when you were introduced to Relive? Thank you so much.
You bet. Well, I was introduced to Relive looking for answers for my son. He was 9 at the time. This was 2003, and Josh dealt with a lot of issues. He was in your face, defiant, disrespectful, disobedient, destructive, rebellious, and it really didn't matter what was done on parenting skills because he couldn't connect consequences to his actions. He also had food allergies that would give him headaches and stomach aches. He had sores in his mouth, splits on his toe pads, asthmatic breathing in the nighttime. He just really struggled with the allergy issues. And he also dealt with what's called sensory integration that affected his skin, so that tags in his shirt, seams in his socks would just drive him nuts. And he later described that as feeling like knives were stabbing him all over his back. So poor guy, he's just so miserable. He also dealt with nighttime seizures. He was speech delayed. And, with all of these issues, I didn't want to take him to a doctor to get him medically on drugs. And so I was trying so desperately to help him nutritionally. So we started a routine of vitamins, and I counted one time, and Josh was taking 27 vitamins a day. And we did that for 2 years, and I didn't see anything change. Didn't see behavior, didn't see health. He was just really stuck. So we met Relive, and we started on those shakes, and we made that commitment to be consistent with them. And it gradually, over time, we began to see things change for him. Started complying when he was asked to do things. Started making friends in the neighborhood where he'd been known as a bully. We saw the seizures really dissipate. His speech cleared up. He's, just, it's safe as bacon. It was getting so hard working with this boy. And we've just seen such a difference in his life. And we've all said, and Josh has said, he'd never be without Relive because he knows how much better he feels. He's been on the products now since 2003, so he's still continuing his 3 shakes a day. He's an amazing 21-year-old guy that's actually in college now.
Wow.
Yeah, and he's got a driver's license, driving, and he's just done remarkable. And just love to see the changes in his life. I just love Relive and what it's done for us.
Well, now you had him on those vitamins every day for 2 years, and you didn't see results like Relive. Why do you think that is, Claire?
I think the huge difference is Relive is so highly absorbable. The body doesn't have to break it down because it's powder that mixes with liquid that you just swallow and drink. And the body doesn't have to break down any pills. And it's so absorbable, really bioavailable. I think that's a huge difference.
Yeah, I feel that way too, yeah. As I was taking handfuls of vitamins, and I never got results like I did when I got on Relive.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for getting on
You
here and
bet.
sharing, and really appreciate that.
You bet. Thank you.
Our last guest, we're going to go back to Maine now, and I have Melanie Hines on here. Melanie, how did you find Relive?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, well, my name is Melanie Hines. I live in Bath, Maine with my husband, Kevin, and I was introduced to Relive almost 13, or just over 13 years ago, which blows my mind. I was praying for answers, too. I had irritable bowel syndrome, chronic constipation, acid reflux. It landed me in the hospital where they put me on medications that made the IBS worse. It didn't even touch the chest pain, and I was scared. Both my parents had died of heart attacks. They both had adult-onset diabetes, and my dad also had colon cancer. So I was really nervous that those things were coming to me, and at the time, I was only like 36 years old. And I was also told I needed a knee replacement at the age of, 36. And I didn't want to have a knee replacement. I was bone on bone in my left knee from the age of 13. So I was just really praying for answers. I felt terrible all the time. I couldn't get through the day without a lot of coffee, and I was tired all the time. And anyways, I was introduced to Relive, and my husband and I had a financial need, so we came into the business when we got on the products. I really didn't know about the business, but I needed hope for the products, and I needed a savings. So I got on these products, and within 2 weeks, I had my energy back. My husband noticed the difference in me. Then he wanted to get started. In 3 months, I was symptom-free of the IBS, the constipation, the acid reflux. I got off all my medications. In 6 months, I was no longer lactose intolerant, got results with all my food allergies. I could eat more than just broccoli, salad, chicken, and fish. And guys, I really got my life back. I'd also lost 10 pounds, and I just felt good. And I started telling my friends and family, and because I was already in the business, in the first month I made $500, which more than paid for my husband and I's products. The second month I made $1,000. The third month I think I was making between $1,000 to $2,000 a month very consistently for that first year. And then I invited my husband to go with me to the conference. And that's when everything changed. He didn't really want to go. I just kind of purchased the tickets and said, we're going. And he came and saw the big picture. He came home from that conference completely changed. He decided to retire from school counseling at the age of 29. And we just started doing this together because we were best friends. We got married to be together, not to be apart all the time. And so my background was corporate finance, and I was a CFO, controller, made a six-figure income but didn't have a life. So we were having a lot of fun and just sharing with people. And we started focusing more on the business after that very first conference. And when we did that, our first year part-time, we made an extra $20,000. In 8 months, we'd replaced my husband's school counselor income. We just got excited. We earned our first all-expense-paid trip about 2 months later, and we went to the Mayan Riviera, got more excited, came home, and our business just grew. In about 4 years, we became ambassadors, and we were very excited about that. And then we started traveling, teaching, training, earning lots of trips. We've earned many cash bonuses. We've earned 24 all-expenses-paid trips. We've earned bonuses every single month. Our highest month has been just under $10,000 in all forms of income. And the beautiful thing is we have our lives back. We've got freedom to work when we want to work and not work when we don't want to work. Right now we're painting the outside of our house, so we have plenty of time to be able to do that. We just love Reliv. We will always be sharing it. And because of that freedom, my husband started volunteering at the fire department, and now he's a full-time firefighter and EMT professional, which basically means he works 2 days a week. So he works 8 days a month, which is perfect for Reliv. So we're helping more people in our community locally. We're building our circle of influence again in new circles, and there's just more and more people we can share with all the time. So we love Reliv. We love the freedom it gives us, and we will always be doing this.
Fantastic. Thank you, Melanie, for sharing. Now, I know you guys were you were working long hours when you first got introduced to Reliv, both of you, and that's why you didn't see each other. Is that correct?
Exactly. We both never saw each other because our hours were completely different, our vacations were completely different, and now we see each other all the time. I could never go back to corporate America because we love being together. So we love Reliv, we love the hope it's given, and more than that, we just love helping other people achieve their goals and dream again, because that's what this is. Reliv fulfills dreams.
It sure does, doesn't it? And that time freedom you have to do what you want to do when you want to do it is just, like you say, priceless. And it's not that we don't work. It's not that you're not busy working, but you have a little bit of say in when that is. And I just love that about Reliv as well. Well, retired at 29. That's pretty good.
Yeah, and I just turned 50, and the beautiful thing is I don't look it. I mean, these products work. I mean, all you got to do is look at how I look at the age of 50. And it's just a surprise to everybody, the energy I have and the freedom I have and the happiness and joy that I have. And it's because I'm free, and I have purpose and passion in my life that I never had when I was in corporate America. So it's amazing.
I saw your picture on Facebook, and you look about 30. So.
Yeah, exactly, and I've recently lost a lot of weight. I'm in better shape now. I weigh less. I weigh 154 pounds. At my highest, I was 187. So in total, I've lost over 30 pounds. And it's amazing. I'm 50 and I'm in perimenopause, and that's not supposed to happen. It's supposed to go the other way, but it's because of these products and because of the energy I have. And I don't work out that much. I work out only 5 days a week, and, my workouts are between 35 minutes and 45 minutes a day. And so anything's possible with Reliv.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you so much for sharing today. And I want to thank all of those who shared today. I'm going to stop the recording now, and I'll come back and give you the playback number.
Your playback is complete, returning you to